How big of a missed opportunity was England's defeat in the first test against the All Blacks at the weekend? That's the question I'm asking in this video, because it's a question that a lot of people have been asking since the full-time whistle. A narrow 1-point defeat for England away to the All Blacks, but was it a missed opportunity for a pretty rare win on New Zealand soil, something they have not done all that often? So welcome back to the channel. You can give your say and your answer to that question down below. I'm going to go through it and what I think. First of all though, an apology actually for not having a video up of the review of the game. I was away last week, which meant I actually happened to be driving back from Cornwall when the match was happening, so I didn't get a chance to properly watch it and therefore properly do a review. I've had to go back, watch the game, and I thought a couple of days removed from it, this was a better question to ask than simply just a review of the game when you would have all seen it and it would have happened a little while ago. So as I say, put your view in the comments and also like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But was it a missed opportunity for England? I'm going to go through both arguments, the for and against. For me personally, no. I can understand why people feel that way. For me, this was more about the continuance of progress for England under Steve Borthwick, and that would be more my focus rather than the fact of this is such a huge missed opportunity. But let's go through the arguments for those that might say, yeah, do you know what, this was a real opportunity for England. First of all, you've got to look at the All Blacks. A new coach and a new captain, a new era, and an All Blacks team that isn't the all-conquering force that we've previously seen when England have previously toured there, that they've come up against. Like 2014 was the last time they toured that team that were in the middle of about to winning back-to-back World Cups. This New Zealand team isn't that. There is a real sense of a new era. They've lost very experienced key players in Aaron Smith, Brodie Retallick, Sam Whitelock. They didn't have Richie Mo'unga there. There was kind of uncertainty about the halfbacks and about what this New Zealand team is, where this New Zealand team are, and the best opportunity to get a win against them in New Zealand would have been this, the first test of the series, because from this point on, they're going to get a hell of a lot better, you would have thought. The other factor for this as well, I think, and for those people that will say this was a missed opportunity, is also looking at England. England didn't go in cold to this game. They had a test in Japan beforehand. They have the bulk of their squad together for the last few weeks, which hasn't always been the case for these summer tours. You will be well aware that often if players are involved in the Premiership final, they might be missing the first test, all depending on the schedule and the fixtures and everything like that. But England, in terms of their preparations for it, whilst I'm sure it's still not perfect, and how much game time they've all had together after the Premiership final they would like more, I actually think they're in a pretty good spot in terms of being together, having a warm-up test against Japan, coming into this game against the All Blacks. The other thing as well, I suppose, for a first test of the series is it wasn't at Eden Park. Often New Zealand will open their seasons at Eden Park, somewhere that they haven't lost in over 30 years. It is an extraordinary record. Now England have to go in the second test and try and win there, and that is a pretty tough prospect for them. But I think ultimately, if you are in the yes camp of this was a missed opportunity for England, it boils down to the fact that these chances don't come along too often. And then when you throw in certain factors aligning in their interests in terms of new coach and new captain and where this New Zealand team currently are, it was a chance for England. They don't tour New Zealand too regularly. 10 years ago was the last time. Was it a huge opportunity for them to get a really significant and sizable result? What would have been the most significant result of the Steve Borthwick era, I think. Some might argue that Ireland game at Twickenham, but I think given the fact they're away from home, this would have probably topped that. So there is a reasonable argument for those of you in that category. I'm not in that category, as I said at the start of the video. I think this is further evidence of how they're continuing to improve and move in the right direction. If you look at it in the last year now, England have lost to South Africa in that World Cup semi-final by a point. They lost by just a couple of points away to France in the Six Nations, and they've now lost by a point to New Zealand. So a handful of points over 3 defeats against the best teams in the world. It was not that long ago that there weren't many of us who I think could have dreamed that this England team would have been possible for them. They were in a pretty low place. They looked way off the best teams in the world. And in a fairly short space of time, they've turned things around. And I think this is now a side that can compete with the best teams in the world. Yes, okay, they're often coming up short in some of those games, but this is part of the progression. It's less than a year that all those things have happened. Plus, if you want to throw in the win against Ireland at Twickenham, this without question is an England team tracking in the right direction. I suppose that's probably more my focus after this result rather than the defeat itself. It's, are they competing with the best teams? Are they causing problems for the best teams? And will they start to be a team that those top sides in the world don't necessarily fear at the moment, but they know they will not get an easy ride against them? Because for years, literally since the 2019 World Cup, I think the best teams in the world would play England, home or away, didn't matter if they were coming to Twickenham, and they didn't fear them. I think England are starting to change the perception of where this team is and how dangerous they are to play against, and that is incredibly significant if they want to be the best team in the world, if they want to win a World Cup in Australia in 3 or 4 years' time. So they are improving, and I think focus on how far they have come. As I say, those World Cup warm-ups, which would have been, I guess it would have been around this time last year, wouldn't it? Those World Cup warm-ups games, the defeat to Fiji at Twickenham, this side were miles off it. And now you look at the development of the team, the new players and faces that have come in, from Furbank to Mitchell, Freeman, Faye Waboso, Ollie Lawrence and his ascendancy in this England team, George Martin coming in, Ben Earl has turned into a top class international number 8 and continues to improve. This is a team that has developed a lot in a short space of time. So did England miss an opportunity? There is a pretty compelling and understandable argument for why you and many people might think that. Ultimately though, I'm not focusing on this as a missed opportunity. I'm focusing on this as an England team heading in the right direction, tracking to the place that they ultimately want to be. And that's actually exciting. When was the last time, as England fans, we could look at it and feel really positive about where this team was going? There was the odd good result here and there, but the style of rugby wasn't good. Their attacking game for 3 years under Eddie Jones after 2019 was virtually non-existent. Now they play a faster, more threatening attacking style of rugby. Their set piece, crucially, their scrum and line out has improved a lot, which makes a huge difference at this level. The positive signs are there. The big question now, I suppose, is how do they go at Eden Park? Because I mentioned it earlier, the All Blacks record there, I mean, that must be one of the best records in professional sport. Their unbeaten record at Eden Park. Like, it's absolutely mental. And it's a big challenge for England. But as I said earlier, I think New Zealand will get better. The All Blacks will improve, obviously, from that first test. But England can still cause them problems. I really think they can this weekend. I think that's, yeah, I think it's exciting. So let me know, what do you make of it? Did England miss an opportunity against the All Blacks? Was this a glorious chance for a win on New Zealand soil that has gone begging? Or do you look at it kind of more in the way I am, looking at the positives? I suppose actually you could argue, and maybe this is the best way to look at it, it's both things. It's a missed opportunity, but ultimately it's also positive for where this team are. That's probably a pretty fair assessment as well. So comment down below and let me know. Like the video, that basically just boosts it, it meets the algorithm, it spreads it to as many people on YouTube as we can, so we can keep growing the channel and get more subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you do hit that subscribe button. That's massively, massively appreciated. Have a great week. Second tests coming up this weekend. More build up to come on the channel. See you in the next one.